Hello and welcome to this episode of the Whole Health with Rob Carney podcast. And on today's episode, we have our guest, Jason Gandzjuk of Specialized Health and Exercise Coaching. So Jason became a holistic health practitioner and corrective exercise coach so that he could teach others how to positively improve their lives. From his experience as a competitive motocross racer and professional cyclist for the past 12 years, he's trained his body through intense exercise, detailed nutrition, and a healthy lifestyle while traveling the world to reach top performance. So getting his body to peak performance was physically, mentally, and emotionally demanding, but it provided him with a life-changing experience. So during his years as a professional athlete, he dealt with chronic life-threatening injuries and developed severe digestive issues, which were misdiagnosed by Western medicine. So this forced him to take his health into his own hands, and through extensive research and working closely with both of our teachers, Paul Chek, he was able to effectively heal himself. So this showed him how to fill in the blanks about what you need to do to live more fully, abundantly, and with better balance. So with his experience, he now provides guidance and support to help others in their health, wellness, naturally creating energy, and achieving their personal goals. So Jason will share his story here, and we'll learn a little bit more about him, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest, Jason Gandzjuk. Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Good afternoon, my man. I'm only saying good afternoon due to your time zone, but here in Carmel, it's still morning. So good morning to me, good afternoon to you.
Well, that's the beauty of the internet here is we can do this anytime, anywhere. So Jason, we know that you are a holistic health practitioner. You are a professional athlete. Tell us about your story, man. How did you get to where you are? Where did it all begin, and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, that's a good question, and a lot of people really may not know who Jason Gandzjuk is. And of course, if they don't know who I am, they don't know why I do what I do. So I think, honestly, explaining my story will definitely answer that question, plus more, for sure. So to start off at 27 years of age now. I'll be 28 at the end of November. Start my story off about the age around, I'd say around 8, 9 years old. I really started getting into motorcycles, which really led me to start having a passion for starting to ride a dirt bike, learn how to ride a dirt bike. So I was fortunate enough that my dad ended up buying me a 3-wheeler. This was around the age of 9 or so. Brought me a 3-wheeler, and pretty much within 5 seconds of hopping on that 3-wheeler, I broke my collarbone. I flew off the side of an embankment, and I broke my collarbone, and that was probably one of the scariest things that's happened to me, being that young. But I got back up, and mentally speaking, I found like this was my passion that fast. So I really started getting into dirt bikes, wanting to race dirt bikes after I healed up after that injury. Yet my mom at the time was about to kill my dad because my mom saw me get hurt right away. And like, what are you doing having to ride a motorcycle? Yeah, what are you having to do? Ride a motorcycle at his age? He's going to get hurt. But my dad supported me and allowed me to follow with my passion. And I did. At the age of around 13, I ended up losing my mom. And not to go into too much detail prior to that, but my dad and mom ended up getting a divorce. And due to the fact that she was really involved in partaking with drugs, medical prescriptions, and, pain numbers, and just everything to just numb the symptoms more than anything she was on, which created her to really, establish an unhealthy relationship with herself. And she wasn't able to really supply me with the love that I needed as a child, nourishment, and that feminine love and care and support and warmth. So that's the reason why my dad ended up having to go through and get a divorce. So I was only able to end up seeing my mom in parental supervision, which was a very small, tiny cubicle, which was miserable. So from the age of around, I think it was 11 or so, 10 or 11 is when they got the divorce. So for about 2 years straight, every Monday for the most part, and until the end when she was having to cancel a lot due to the fact that she was getting really sick leading up to her passing away, I had to see her for 45 to 55 minutes in this cubicle with somebody watching over us. it was miserable. It was miserable. And, I was so numb to it all and so young. I really wasn't sure what was going on. So I went with the flow and wasn't really realizing that I was suppressing a lot of emotion inside of me. And I was taking in her pain without even realizing it. And that kind of right there starts off where the story will take a different direction soon. So, her passing, which my dad told me once I got picked up from the bus stop, I believe. He picked me up from the bus and he told me, and obviously it was, inevitable to see it in my dad's eyes when I opened the door. That obviously really took me in an interesting direction when my dad told me that she passed. First thing I honestly thought went right to is I need to definitely become a professional motocross racer. I'm not letting anything get in the way of that. That is what I need to do, have to do. And I need to do that for my mom to make her proud of me for the most part. So I ended up really having my dad's support with that. My dad gave me extra support actually, because he now was the only parent I had or have to nurture me. So he, felt the extra desire to let me pursue motocross. Doesn't matter what the situation would be. And that was me getting homeschooled. So I ended up getting homeschooled, I think it was age when I was sixth grade, I think. Seventh grade I got homeschooled for. And I only did homeschooling for a few years, actually. I ended up pretty much dropping. I wouldn't say dropping. That's a bad term. Unfortunately, people have a label with that. But I ended up moving on from school and not continuing after around ninth grade or so, because it was preventing me from getting the education that I needed and wanted. I wasn't being told or taught how to think more so than what to think, and I didn't like that. So I had my dad's support with that since I was racing motocross at the time. So doing the homeschool thing. Getting back to the point of him supporting me, he supported me with that. But I pretty much moved down to Southern California and lived with another professional motocrosser named Ryan Hughes, who really was a great trainer. And I ended up living with him and racing motocross out of his house after spot for 2-3 years. So this brought me all the way up to around age 16. I went down there at 16, brought me up to around 19. I was down there for about 3 years, and not to get into all the detail of me living down there in different housing situations and relationship, etc. Even leading up to being down south, I broke several bones. But what really stood out from the injuries was the amount of concussions that ended up occurring. To this day, I've had about 16 concussions, 16, which has been extremely challenging to work through and grow with and learn from. But going down south, I didn't have, I think I had maybe 11 because I sustained 3 concussions from cycling. So I think maybe it's 10 or so. I don't know, maybe around that number. But when I was down south racing motocross, which led me to end up quit racing motocross, was one evening of racing, I got a concussion. I, in practice, hit my head, felt pretty woozy, and decided to continue racing that same day. I went out for my next moto and ended up blacking out, crashing, getting a concussion due to that crash. So that day I had to end up, for about 3 months after, I tried getting back into motocross and never was able to return back to the same person. Just my coordination wasn't there. My ability to react to things quickly, which is extremely important in motocross, wasn't there. It's just everything was just dull. which, really scared the shit out of me, more so than anything. So I ended up making the decision to quit racing motocross. That work ethic that was created for motocross, to just train, and the work ethic that I established with Rhino, which was great, to be honest. I'm so grateful and thankful for, is just really to not give up. But the definition that he created of not giving up is different than the definition that I think a lot of people use and understand with not giving up. He just really taught me to have a specific mentality towards something that I'm passionate about. And to bit is, never happy with the results, because you always are looking more and trying to get more out of it. Which, putting motocross with that mindset and trying to find another activity and hobby I can get into, seeing that mindset work like it did in motocross necessarily, I don't think I'd work, because a lot of other sports, I think it's a mix. But for example, cycling, rest is extremely important, and a lot of the other factors of diet, quiet, and happiness really come into play with cycling. You can get away with partying, for example, with motocross, and still go out and kill it in your motos in certain situations. In cycling, you can't get away with that. I got into cycling immediately after motocross because I was extremely hurt inside, that I wasn't sure what I was going to continue doing, since that's all I knew what to do. And I sacrificed a lot, schooling, education, etc. So I ended up getting into cycling really quick. I learned a lot through Rhino, since he studied and was really close, and still is good friends with Paul Chek. So all of the stuff I was introduced to at an early age was all Chek-based stuff. Really just how to eat, move, and be healthy. To the whole gluten thing, for example, when I learned about that, gosh, I don't even know how to pronounce gluten, to be honest, because I wasn't even sure what it was. This was before it turned into what it is now. But I just learned a really great understanding on things at an early age, which I'm very grateful for. So coming into cycling, I had that to my advantage. I did. And I had a work ethic that brought me into fitness fast, but it also led me to get very, very fatigued and tired. So fast forwarding, after working my way up through the ranks of cycling very quickly, really, really quickly, actually, and not getting really the best of results, or the results that reflect my training, but I was overtraining like crazy. I had ride my bike, I think 20 plus thousand miles a year, and I did that for about almost 2.5-3 years straight, with literally 355 days on the bike out of 365. It's crazy. So really drained myself down, and I really started to feel that. But I really started studying more of Chek's work. The more I got into cycling, really started looking more into the references, who he studied from, getting their books, reading those books, and then reading the references from out of those books, and just trying to go as far as possible to really understand things from a approach that a lot of people, I think, need to take with learning, to be honest. And that's how I got the education that I have now, of course, through experience. But didn't focus with happiness, quiet and happiness, what the last 4 doctors ever need. And I ended up I was forced to quit cycling. I ended up getting hit by a car head on, broke my back there, which was pretty bad. But aside from that, I ended up getting on a head on the bike, and that really scared the living shit out of me, more so than anything. It scared me to see how scared my dad was, my friends were, for example, and showed me that cycling isn't, it's not worth it for me to really risk my life to the degree I was, just like I was in motocross. And I wanted to pursue another passion of mine, which was what I'm doing now, to be a practitioner. But throughout cycling, those years of cycling, since I was overtraining, I ended up getting really sick inside, which of course didn't show aesthetically. A lot of people thought I was extremely healthy because I, looked to be really, really thin, of course, for a cyclist. A lot of people thought I was anorexic, to be honest. But according to cycling, the community, I was very fit looking, yet very sick inside and drained and adrenal fatigue. And I ended up starting to develop severe GI issues, very severe. And saw a lot of specialists, doctors, because this turned into more of a thing than just GI issues. I mean, I lost 25 pounds. So I went from 165 to 130-ish, if not even less, lower than that. Got really sick because pretty much my hormones were getting shut down from a lot of the concussions I sustained. But more so, I just was really unhappy inside. And this goes back to my youth with my mom and taking in her pain, which really broke me down inside, which allowed disease to manifest itself from my emotions more than anything. Why? Is because I over-exercised myself because I didn't care about anything else rather than trying to win and be the best I possibly can be. Those were my emotions that I wouldn't say over, but took me to take action and over-exercising and not listening to my body. I went for years with seeing specialists, and none of them were able to figure out what was going on with me. And I was desperate. I ended up approaching Ryan Hughes again and seeing if he could put me in contact with Paul Chek to have him assess me. And I went down there. My dad and I went down there, and I worked with him very closely. And of course, he assessed me and nailed it on the spot for the most part. I need to really work in and really live with, quiet and happiness and movement, actually, and learn how to move efficiently and effectively with energy and properly balanced. That's really, it wasn't something I was able to really, really fully understand until really more going through his courses, which I've done for several years. But I've learned more so than anything outside of the education I've gathered from going through the Chek Institute is actually applying it to experience more so than anything, because I've been able to create health and love for myself and get myself out of situations that, for example, I wouldn't have been able to get out of if it wasn't for, honestly, just connecting with nature more so than anything. Because to the point that I was when I went to go down to see Paul, I was really sick inside. And really the thing that it was is I stopped creating love for myself. And until I learned how to really be happy inside and feel my body and work with my body as far as understanding how important breathing is, for example. I mean, that's extremely important. And really all the medicine that I could have taken to heal my gut, the GI issues, the adrenal fatigue, messing up my thyroid, for example, etc., wouldn't do anything if I didn't focus on breathing and really just focus on living my own life with love and with ease and not overdoing it, and learning how to nurture myself as if I had a mom, and understanding how important that feminine energy is to have inside of us and balance out yin and yang. Which is why I am extremely, extremely passionate about what I do now, because it's really just a way of living for me. It doesn't take any discipline to be who I am or do what I do and be very set on my core values. To me, it's just as easy as breathing has become for me, to be honest. And I admire that, because I get a lot of shit from people that I don't have balance in life, that I overwork or overstudy, because even to this day, I seriously probably study for probably 5 to 6 hours a day. Outside of when I'm working, I literally will wake up sometimes at 4, study for 2 hours, then do 30 minutes to an hour of sometimes some meditation or something, and then study again, work out if I am working out that day. and then work with clients, you know, and that's what I do every day. And so I not 99.9% of my free time is partaking and studying and just reading and studying. But to me, it's just a way of living, and that's why I really do what I do every single day, all with ease, because it's just a reflection of my own inner life, and that's why I really do admire the whole principles that you learn through the Chek Institute with Diet, Quiet, Happiness, and Movement. Because really, until you live with each of those 4 doctors, you're not effectively going to be able to manage pain and disease and illness in your life, you know, because even to this day, which I believe everyone experiences, is still pain inside of them, but it's learning how to engage with it and learn from it and create love from it more so than anything. It's having that inner awareness and your own self-responsibility to take action in it instead of running away from it. When you run away from these negative emotions, you're just adding to those negative emotions even more.
Definitely.
You know, you learn that true happiness is created when you sit with sadness, you know, and really the most important relationship you can ever have is the one you have with yourself. How you feed yourself, how you sleep, how you move, how you think. You need to take care of yourself in all of those manners, not just physically by going to the gym and aesthetically trying to look good. That's not taking care of yourself. Sometimes that's, you know, adding to the things you really need to work on. And that's why exercise, unfortunately, to this day, is unhealthy for people to partake in, because people aren't exercising effectively.
Definitely.
It's not hard. It's not hard at all. But the things that are making it hard comes from diet, because that normally leads to an inverted breathing pattern, which leads to poor posture, etc. Poor posture, you can't exercise correctly, you know? So it's just, it's something that I'm really passionate about teaching, because it's quite simple, you know? And as I'm sure you know, is a lot of it really comes from just personal experience more so than anything, you know?
Sure.
You can't take people any higher up the mountain than you've taken yourself, and you can't take someone up a different mountain than you've gone up yourself too. So that's what it really takes to be an effective, you know, therapist and coach, more so than anything, you know, is just really teaching others through a reflection of who you are, more so than teaching others from a textbook.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing too, whereas, I mean, obviously you've experienced much more pain than I think the average person has. And I feel like with the background that you have, the background I have, learning from the Chek Institute, as you said, it is very simple. And that's the beauty of it. But also a lot of people don't want to be told drink some water when you wake up and go to bed at 10 p.m. And they don't like that answer, because it's too simple. It's like, oh, that can't be that big a deal. It's whatever. They kind of brush it off because of its simplicity.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. I obviously, we know that one of the most important driving forces is to have a dream, to have a vision, to have something that you're working towards every day. Because you mentioned, which is something I can relate to, people say you don't have balance, you work too much. It's something that I also fall into that category where, as you said, the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, I'm working on something, whether it's doing podcasts like this is working right now. We're working together on something to share the message. I'm creating content. I'm reading books. I'm watching videos, listening to podcasts, studying, whatever it may be, working through meditations, Tai Chi. But again, it all comes back to, because I have a purpose, I have my dream that I'm working towards. So what is your opinion on why is it so important to have that dream?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question, my man. Well, you know, like I've said before, and it's quoting Paul Chek on it, is, you know, when you have a big enough dream, you're actually willing to take care of yourself to experience it. You know that too, of course. You do. But that really says it. That really simplifies it to a point to where you can really understand the importance of having it. But why is it important for someone to have a dream and have a dream established before really working with them? Is because, if a person's motive to do something isn't greater than their motive not to do it, no change will happen. Have it be lifestyle changes, exercise changes, etc. Nothing. You need to have that driving force that's going to lead you in order in life to create change and growth. Through really proper change in life is growth, inner growth. It's more so growing as an individual when you change. Of course, some people in certain opinions may change, for the worse, for example. But of course, changing for the better, you're growing more so than anything. But having that dream established really allows you to have that driving force that's going to lead you in the direction to create love for yourself, to be healthy and loving. You're going to establish the right core values that are going to navigate you towards living your dream. A dream should be something that's lived every day. That's the true dream too. It's like having a dream to be, a successful Czech practitioner, for example. That obviously takes a lot. It takes time. It takes time and work. But that dream of yours should be lived every day, leading up to that, to schooling, to studying, all of that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things too that the way I see it is it's something that doesn't have a weekend. It's something that it's not you clock in Monday through Friday and then you kind of just after hours and on the weekends you kind of just let go. It's one of those things that it's something that as you said, you're working towards every single day. And I think that's a pretty big distinction. Obviously, everyone's balance of that is going to be different. Yeah, some people might just do that 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and they're working towards their dream. That's great. But I think getting started at the very least, it's something that once you've found your dream, it's going to consume your every thought. It's going to consume your every action. It's going to consume your every motivational factor, every reason why you do everything you do to get you closer to that goal. So to me, it's something that, again, I can't breathe without. It's almost like my oxygen. It's when I'm not working towards my dream, I feel suffocated and I feel like I'm not living the life that I want because I'm not working towards my dream. So for me, it just comes down to the point now where I feel like I'm very aligned with my dream and my purpose, that whenever I'm falling off of it, it's as I said, it's like I feel like I'm suffocating. So it's very clear to me where I'm going and where I want to be and what I love doing. So I think at that point, it almost becomes easier. Again, everything we do then kind of leads towards that. And just makes things a lot more enjoyable. And again, the passion that I can hear you speaking about clearly tells me that you are also working towards your dream. You're on your mission. And I think that's where a lot of it just stems from.
Yeah. And it's weird. It's something I've just personally experienced myself too. And I don't even know if anyone can relate to it or understand it, but my dream is always changing.
Definitely.
Actually, my dream really doesn't have a clear outcome or something I'm expecting, really, though, because I'm realizing every day as I grow and interact with new people and new things that are led by these new people I'm meeting, experiencing different emotions, because every person you meet is a different person, and you experience different emotions when you're communicating with them. That I'm having different sense of awareness, and my passion has been evolving in different directions by learning from these people. That it's changed my dream, kind of with the direction I want to go with education, and it's changed the understanding I have, with just the importance of having a dream too, which I feel like has really changed who I am too as well. So dreams change as you grow, and we grow every day, so it's but having that inner feeling inside your heart that overall you're living your dream, and that's something that comes from pure passion and pure happiness, and you don't feel like you're sacrificing in any situation when you really have a clear definition of doing something that you love to do. And we all have that capacity inside of us. That's the thing. There's nothing necessarily, special about you and I that we're able to do what we love. Anyone can do it. It's anyone can do something that they're passionate about. That's my point.
I agree.
Our passion, so that's why we're doing what we're doing. But if, for example, you wanted to, be a cook, you can definitely be a cook. If you have a passion about it, you can do it. You will do whatever it takes to honestly make a living at being a cook. Something along that industry, because guarantee you, while you're pursuing to be a cook, you'll realize you're passionate about other things too.
Yeah, and I think also too is in the day of the internet is we have pretty much unlimited opportunities. Whereas you said, if you want to be a cook, if you want to talk about Dragon Ball Z, you want to be the Dragon Ball Z guy who talks about all these things, you can make a YouTube channel. If you're very good at that, you can make a living off of talking about Dragon Ball Z full time using the internet. And that's something that if you said that 20 years ago, it wouldn't have even been a thought in anyone's mind. But now we really do have this incredible superpower that is the internet to really help us pursue our dreams. And obviously for me, I like to do a combination of in-person and online. One for the convenience of the online, and also the greater reach that I think we can achieve with that. But you really can pursue any passion, any dream you have with the proper execution. And that being said, it may take you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years before you become the Dragon Ball Z guy and start making money off it. But if you're doing the side and you love it, as you said, it's not a sacrifice because it's a labor of love. It's something that you enjoy doing, and it's something that you would be doing anyway, even if you weren't getting paid.
You brought something up in my head when you meant sacrificing. Take a second. Sacrificing in relationships is not healthy. Sacrificing takes love from yourself. It takes energy. You should, in relationships, you should be able to 100% be your authentic self at all times. And when you're sacrificing, that's a sign that you're not able to really be your authentic self. So I just want to bring that up. That's outside of what we're discussing, but it has to do with sacrificing. And I think a lot of people need to understand that and not sacrifice for others because it sacrifices from the person that they are. It takes away from energy and love.
Yeah, I think that's an important point too. And it comes back to, as Paul Chek always says, the I, we all. We got to focus on helping ourselves first, because when we first help ourselves and we're our healthiest, we're doing what we love, we can then share that love with the people closest to us, whether it be friends, family, and that's the we. And then we go to all. Then we can share those gifts with everyone else. So, but if we're sacrificing the I part, everyone else is going to suffer because we're not going to be authentic. We're not going to be really filling our own cup up first and then filling up others. We're trying to fill up others while emptying our own, which I think that's the point you're alluding to. And again, having been someone that has gone through a lot of pain, I would love to hear your thoughts to anyone else out there who is either dealing with chronic pain or getting over some sort of pain. What practices have you found in just a couple minutes here that we have left? What would you say are the top practices you've found to help heal pain, to help recover from pain, and anything related to pain?
Well, there's two answers to that, or not two answers, two parts to that. And the first part will be one that I think people can really maybe relate more to, or not, I wouldn't say relate, but understand, is actually what you decide to do with nutrition, diet. I don't really want to say diet because that is a certain dogma around that, having a calorie count and macro count, etc., which, I don't see animals, doing that and tracking their diet on MyFitnessPal. Do you? No. So, but taking care of yourself with what you put into your body, being aware of it, and eating right for your specific type. Really, that alone will take you out of a lot of the pain you're in. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual pain is diet alone. So that's been the biggest thing I've learned myself, more so than anything. You can't honestly work on thinking happy thoughts if you're not eating honestly happy animals that are raised in a good, loving area, that aren't, obviously not to go into detail there, all the shit they're fed, the non-organic food, GMO food, etc. But that's been the biggest thing that people can relate to. The second side of that answer, to sum it up quickly, is spending more time with yourself. And I'll even say the word, even though it's looked at differently, as alone. But alone is the greatest feeling. Actually, that's when you're able to actually feel things and feel the inside of your body and connect with it. Is when you're alone. Meditation, which doesn't have to be just sitting there doing nothing. Meditation could be anything you're doing, as long as you're actually involved with what you're doing and you're in the present. Present. That's why it's called the present, because it really is a present when you live with it, live in it too. So, first part of that question, to answer it, nutrition, doctor diet. Other part of that question, be doctor quiet. So those are the two things that really are life-changing right there. And the exercises, all of that, those other things outside of that, they're just building blocks on top of the foundation, and the foundation is diet and quiet.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on here. We're out of time, but I just want to thank you. And what's the best way for people to reach you?
So they can reach me. Probably email would be best. So they can go to my website at www.specializedhealthandexercise.com. You can reach me there, and they're more than welcome to even contact me via Instagram. When my profile is specialized exercise coaching. You can also just type in Jason Gandzjuk, and my specialized coaching profile will show up. Feel free to just DM me. Have any questions? Reach out in any way that's convenient for you. But Instagram, email is probably best. And we can go from there. Thank you, man, for having me on.
So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast with our guest, Jason Gandzjuk of Specialized Health and Exercise Coaching. So please take a moment, if you have any questions, to follow him on social media, on his Instagram, or reach out to him via email for any questions, or if you'd like to work with Jason, who is based in Carmel, California. And as always, this episode of the podcast is brought to you by our superfood sponsors, Purium Health Products and Mushroom Revival. And with both of these superfoods, I've been using them myself for many months, and I've been very happy with the results I've been getting, both in terms of energy, mental clarity, and just overall health and happiness. I've been really noticing that I need a little bit less sleep, as I feel like my nutrition is able to get myself in that deep restful state a bit easier and have the proper nutrition to fuel my energy throughout the day. And so if you go to Purium or Mushroom Revival, either of their websites, you will save money using the code WHOLEHEALTH. So going to Purium Superfoods, you go to ishoppurium.com and use the code WHOLEHEALTH, and you'll save $50 on your first order. As well as at Mushroom Revival, if you use the code WHOLEHEALTH, you will save 15% on your every order. So that's mushroom-revival.com. And so part of the reason why I chose to work with these companies is because they're both stewards of the land. And with the current state of our planet and climate change, it is more important than ever to support these companies. So with Purium, they will be the first company to be 100% plastic free by 2021. And for Mushroom Revival, they plant one tree for every product sold in the Amazon. So I would really appreciate if you guys check out those two groups there. As I said, I've been very happy with the results I've been getting from them, and I've been very fortunate enough to be working with them, and very fortunate to have a discount code to offer to you. So when you have a moment, please head over to ishoppurium.com and mushroom-revival.com and use that code WHOLEHEALTH to save on your superfoods. So again, thank you for listening, and looking forward to future episodes.